Hello and good morning from Santa Fe. This is nice. This is really nice. I'm very excited because this is going to be the beginning of a series of videos. A series of videos on one's inner life. And maybe let me just name what that is first. So I and you and everybody that we encounter has an outer life and an inner life. Our outer life are the things which are visible to others. So that is our role, our title, our income, our status, the material objects we have, our accolades, our reputation, our status amongst society or amongst a group. And those are the things which can be measured, which can be compared, where we can consider one is greater than the other on certain means of being able to compare them against each other. It's often the way in which we compare ourselves against others. We compare our outer life against others' outer lives. And there is a whole set of skills involved in building a good outer life. Whether you are an entrepreneur or a leader or an athlete or a musician or anything, there are all these actions that you have to take, and there's almost like a game unto whichever world you operate in. Whether it's becoming very successful at the thing you're in or making money or understanding how the system works, all of that plays into it. And then there is our inner life, which is visible in a sense where those around us can see if we are inhabiting a rich inner life or not. I think that's you can observe that in others, but for the most part it's pretty invisible to people. And our inner life is made up of things like our perception of ourselves, so how we experience ourselves, and our sense of self, so how it feels to be us, to be ourself, our mood, our thoughts, the inner emotional experiences that we have, the sense of meaning that we feel in our actions and our life and the path that we are pursuing in our lives. And so what we're going to talk about today is, I suppose, probably both of them, the outer life and the inner life, and how they feed each other. I was sort of thinking earlier today, is your outer life are the things you do, and your inner life is how you're being, is what your internal experience is of it all. And I sort of started out on my journey by helping people create more sort of order and control of their outer life to have a better inner life, if we could say that. So that started in 2019, 2020, when I started a business, The Momentum Mind, which was where I ran these programs, mainly with organizations and companies. And I was teaching people how to create routine and structure in their day between their evening routine and their morning and their work day. And the aim of that was to create more inner stability. So we were working on creating some structure and order externally to create some stability internally. And it worked for people, but I had a desire to go deeper with it. And so in 2023, I stopped doing that. And I started to really come from the belief that if we address things internally, it will create a better external results in our lives, in the quality of the work that we do, in the decisions we make, in the life paths that we go toward. And I stopped trying to create order and structure externally in the outer world, and I started trying to help people come into deeper contact with their inner world, with their inner life, as I'm referring to it. And Recently, I have been receiving more requests than I can fulfill to work with people one-on-one in that capacity. So in that work, I sort of consider myself to be a guide. And I've only come to see this recently in myself, where I had such a difficult period of time even naming what the work was, because the easiest thing that people could sort of latch onto was to call it coaching, which is very understandable. But I had this constant apprehension of even naming myself or allowing myself to be named a coach. And only recently I got to understand why that is. And it's because I'm not coaching people through things that a typical coach would do. We're not dealing so much with the skills, the tactics, the strategies, the structures in their life. We're dealing much more with the inner experience of their life. And so in relation to that, when people come to me, they often come with a series of scenarios. One could be that they have they're finding that the business that they built, which was designed to bring them freedom, now feels like it's trapping them. Or the work that used to give them nourishment and meaning, now they feel very apathetic towards, and they have lost all drive in this path. For those who are leaders or are entrepreneurs with their own businesses and their teams, they find that making decisions becomes more and more challenging. They know that change needs to happen, but they find it difficult to trust their own instinct to act on their intuition of what needs to happen, and letting things go and welcoming new things in. And so when they can't do that, they start to feel stagnant. And then as you feel stagnant, of course, every day becomes harder. Everything starts to become a grind, something that you have to push through. And so all of that then starts to create this sense of malaise, this sense of confusion. And all you can see is like all of the things which are against you externally, outside, decisions, problems, processes, clients, health issues. And so that can create a pretty murky and unenjoyable experience of life. And for all of the people that I've worked with, they have all done exceptionally well at developing themselves in their outer lives, or the outer game of life, which is to understand how to provide excellence, how to be excellent at their work, how to be responsive, how to be diligent, how to understand sales, marketing, just to be exceptional in what they deliver, to be consistent. And for many of them, there's a drive to be really great at what they do because they long to be seen and recognized as being worthy of acknowledgement, love. And also there's a part of a desire to create financial security, to feel safe and secure in the world by having enough money that they know that they will be safe for the rest of their lives. And for many, this comes from a place of growing up in an environment of poverty. I'm just giving some of the circumstances of the people that I've worked with. And so they are driven by these, like when I say basic, I mean if we take the concept of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they're the real basic needs of having a sense of security, of financial security, security in their role, security in what they do. And there comes a point where the more that they have pursued accomplishing things, the more that they have pursued growth in their outer life, it came to a point where it started to have very little meaning to them. They started to feel cut off from the experience, to a place where they feel like they are just performing something. They are not in their own lives. And so what we do when we come together in the work is that we work on creating a sense of connection or alignment, you could say, between their inner life and their outer life. And a lot of that is about bringing them into connection with themselves. And that's why I consider myself a guide in this work rather than a coach. And of late, as I was mentioning just a little earlier in this, there are more people coming to me to do this work than I can work with. And so I want to share this with more people because I've seen the incredible impact it's had on those that I've worked with. It's helped them to find a much deeper sense of trust in their decisions and the way that they want to live life. They find that within that deeper sense of self-trust, they gain permission which ultimately they had to give to themselves to live life on their terms. Because in playing the outer game, when you're totally emphasizing that and you're cut off from your inner life, I'm sort of interchanging the word outer life or outer game and inner life and inner game, but they're really meaning the same thing. When there's such an emphasis on that, on the outer, and there's a neglect or a disconnection from the inner, we often do end up operating on other people's expectations of us. And so the hardest thing is to find a sense of permission to live life on our terms, the way that we want to. And so creating more of that connection in one's inner life does that. And also with that comes a deeper sense of inner knowing, of knowing yourself, of knowing what you want and what you don't want and what you're pursuing. And all of this is anchored on a journey that I bring people into, which is to find their center, which is to find somewhere that is stable and solid inside of themselves, so that whatever the uncertainty or change that is taking place externally, whatever is playing out externally in that way, they have something solid inside of themselves. They have a place to come back to. They have a place of inner knowing inside of themselves that they can be in whilst their thoughts and their emotions are going through highs and lows. And once you get access to that, you never really lose it. You carry it with you, I think, for the rest of your life. And if you keep attending to it, it only deepens. And so this video is sort of laying the foundation of naming that, everything I just shared there, and giving context to what's going to come from here, where I will be sharing ideas and ways of understanding your inner life, your inner self. There is no outer self, really, is there? Well, I suppose there can be, the sort of the person that we project outwardly to the world, but is not connected to what we experience inwardly. And there's going to be a lot of practices and exercises. The core approach of my work is regaining contact within our body and being able to become more and more and more aware of our inner state and to be able to read it and understand it more effectively. Because what I have come to see is, for everybody that I've worked with that has gone through this issue where there's this disconnect from their outer life and their inner life, it's because our body, it communicates to us in a language of sensations and images and emotions. It's not communicating to us through words so much. And if it is, that's the final frontier of everything that's playing out inside of us. So what I mean by that is that the source of how our body communicates to us is through sensations. And if we can become more aware of those sensations, if we can understand them, just like it is another language, like for those who wish to code, or now an LLM can do it for you, but historically for those who needed to learn how to code, they needed to learn another language because it was a different language that was needed in being able to program computers or build things, digital products. Well, within ourselves, Of course, we have language which we can use to connect with each other, but in our inner experience of ourself, actually the richness and the richest experience that we have is in the language of sensations. And so that's what a lot of these exercises are going to be about, is to bring you closer and closer into understanding the language of sensations that plays out inside of yourself. And when you do that, you are learning something that I believe is sort of beyond intelligence. You're gaining wisdom. You're gaining wisdom in yourself. Because the way that I would distinguish those two is that intelligence is to understand something, and wisdom is to know how to apply that intelligence, how to act with it, to make the right decision at the right time. And so we're going to begin by learning how to calm ourselves and how to bring ourselves down from a state of stress or from a state of being overwhelmed. And that's what's going to come next. And so this video was as much for me as it was for you, to help me clarify what this series of videos is going to be about. But I'm very looking forward to sharing it with you, because I have seen the amazing impact it's made on people's lives, and I look forward to seeing how it can impact more lives.